Yeah. Well, the Jim Acosta one is strange because Jim Acosta, like, he wasn't supposed to be talking then, right?
Right.
He was interrupting. He was deciding that he was more important than the other person who was talking.
Right.
And he was also deciding that he was more important than everyone else in the room.
And he's also deciding that having a White House press credential is a human right. So basically, you could do whatever you want and it'll never be taken away. But
there's got to be some decorum, right?
Well, their argument, I would guess, I can't speak for Jim Acosta because I can speak in a normal voice, but their argument would be that because the president has made things so lack of decorum, which he has,
Sure.
I mean, therefore they're following suit. So I guess that's real leadership.
But it's unfortunate. I mean, look, I think I appreciate the fact that he goes out of his way to question the White House narrative, and he goes out of his way.
That's his job, yeah.
Yeah, to put the irons to the president and get him to answer questions. But you can't do that while someone else is talking. The other guy had the microphone. The other guy was supposed to be talking, right?
This is why I think he's unforgivable. Because during the Singapore summit, when you had President Trump and Kim Jong-un from North Korea, and they're signing a piece of paper, and they're trying to kind of hopefully go towards a peaceful direction, Acosta gets up and yells, "Hey, what about Otto Warmbier? Marshal Kim Jong-un, what about Warmbier?" It's like, you got this guy who's got 25 million hostages. He's taking the first step to dropping his gun. You're like, hey, what about that kid you killed? What about, there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kim Jong-un speaks English. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. So I think the guy took wrestling a little too seriously.
Is that what it is?
I don't know what it is. I mean, you know a lot of reporters. I know a lot of reporters. They don't act like this.
No. I think he likes attention, and I think he feels like there's something very significant about what he's doing.
And I think he also wants to be a martyr. He wants to be, he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and but for him, we'd be facing Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's the question is, like, when does someone get their press credentials removed from the White House? When can they no longer have White House credentials? Like, what do you have to do to the point where everyone agrees you're a nuisance and you're interrupting regularly? Like, CNN could just get someone else.
Right.
Who's not going to scream out.
Right.
It's not like they're trying to block CNN. It's like they're saying to this guy, like, you're interrupting. Like, you're yelling things out. And then what if everyone yelled things out at the same time? Are you better than everyone else? Because you're not. You're just a person here. And if you just decide my opinion and my voice is more significant than anyone else's, well, you've thrown everybody else under the bus, the entire rest of the room, and the whole process.
Well, I remember Leslie Stahl had Trump on 60 Minutes not that long ago, and, they were going back and forth, and she goes, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, this is the fucking president. You're a reporter. If he wants to talk about it, at the very least, it's going to be the president says X, Y, and Z, so who are you to be like, nah, shut up, we're not going to talk about this. And he's like, well, fuck you, I'm the president.
Yeah. Is anybody criticizing Jim Acosta from the left? Is anybody saying, like, hey, you're not supposed to do that? Like, what you did is out of line.
I've been having fun in LA. I have not seen that. I think they have been running interference because I do think that the press corps, like any organization, you work with someone side by side every day, you're going to be friendly with them.
Yeah.
And I do think there is very much, obviously, acrimony between Sarah Sanders and the White House press corps, and she's very insulting and hostile to them, and you could say it's deserved or not. So, of course, they're going to kind of team up together, be like, lady, we're just trying to do our job, and you're just spitting on our face every single day. Now, the question is, do these people have...
The issue with the news, though, is when it's just straight up propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, when is this actually the real objective version of the events, or when are they deleting and editing stuff out and adding things to it and concentrating on one maybe possibly insignificant thing but pumping it up to be more than it is, because then it changes the narrative for their side.
This morning I went after some dimwit from NBC, and he goes, this is the worst attack by the White House on the press freedoms in history. I go, John Adams, second president, put journalists in jail. So did Lincoln. Lincoln, of course, you could say, okay, it's a civil war, but there have been many cases of attacks on the press. But, of course, because everyone's so narcissistic, if it's happening to them, it's the worst thing ever, and this is basically the gulag. Even though they can go on Twitter and have their 100,000 followers and have their good book deals as a consequence. Yeah,
I was watching this piece on, I really wish I remember what it was on, but it was on, maybe I was listening to it. Either way, it was on the news, and when the news started becoming an entertainment program versus when it was just, here's the events of the day, and this is what the significance of these events could be, and this is the impact it could have on our society. Instead, it just became this really flamboyant, wild, crazy, if it bleeds, it leads, and it became entertainment.
Right.
And they really narrowed it down to 60 minutes. They were saying when 60 Minutes became a hugely successful financial show.
What's that, in the 70s then?
Somewhere around there, right? When was 60 Minutes?
It's been around for a long, long time.
Long time. But when 60 Minutes became a hit, it was a hit show. Like, big advertiser money. It was, the entire country would watch it. And then that sort of changed the way they viewed the news. Because now they viewed the news as a potentially profitable venture. And then, boy, once they realized that people can clearly affiliate with one side versus another side, and they want that in their news coverage, then you get the weird Fox News / CNN bias, which is... It is one of the weirdest polar distinctions. If you watch the news, you watch television during the elections in particular, anything that's really significant going on, you go back and forth between the two of them. You're like, there's like separate universes here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think they both suck.